What's up, y'all? It's your girl Veronica, and we're back with some more information for you guys. Now, I know y'all have been asking, dang, girl, how'd you pass your PMP certification exam in 4 weeks above target in all three areas? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm here to give you all the game that you need to know for you to pass your PMP certification exam on the very first try, okay? In as little as 4 weeks, all right? And y'all know how we do it. I give you the game, and then all you got to do is run the play. So if you're trying to find out how to pass your PMP exam on the very first try in as little as 4 weeks, then honey, you've come to the right place. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now before we even really jump into things, y'all know how it is. We got to level set with one another, okay? Because I see y'all coming in my comments on YouTube, coming in my comments on IG, trying to come at me talking about why would I take an expensive PMP certification course if I can just get my PMP on Google? Honey, try again. You cannot get a PMP on Google, okay? We need to just start right there. There is a difference between certificates and professional certifications, all right? You can get a project management certificate from Google. You can get one from Coursera. You can get one from Udemy. You can get one from LinkedIn, right? There's all different types of places that you can get a project management certificate, but that doesn't really hold any weight in the marketplace. A certificate is for you to build a solid foundation on so that you can continue to build up your skill sets, all right? It's to give you a general understanding about what a project manager does, the type of methodologies that we use, type of frameworks that we follow, that whole type of thing. But you can't go to an employer asking for $100,000 and telling them that you have your Google project management certificate. It's not the same, all right? When we're talking about professional level certifications, the PMP, standing for Project Management Professional, is going to be the gold standard in the space. All right. It is overseen by the Project Management Institute. That is a global organization. All right. The PMP is the gold standard. That is the highest of the high when it comes to project management professional certifications. All right. So when you actually go to an employer and you have your PMP certification, that's like a professional license. It has a credential number. You have to keep it updated. You have to go through and do professional development education every 3 years so that you can stay certified. There's a whole process. Okay. So it's a completely different level than a certificate that you can get just by going through and watching some videos on Google. So I want you guys to understand that there is a difference, okay? Now, of course, the PMP certification is going to be a way bigger investment. But when you think about what you're trying to get out of your career and out of your work life, it's worth the money for the value that you are going to get, okay? It's worth the ROI. That means return on investment for anybody who doesn't know. All right, no worries. Your girl got you. Your girl got you. Okay, so now that we know the difference between a certificate and a certification, let's talk about the PMP. Okay, not just any Joe Schmo can sit for the PMP certification exam. You do have to meet certain qualifications. So we want to start there and make sure that we can meet the qualifications before we go any further. All right. Now, there are two options when it comes to being able to qualify for the PMP certification exam. All right. Option number one, if you have a high school diploma or a GED, then all you have to do is show 60, that's 60, 60 months of experience leading projects, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you have to have been a project manager by title. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that you have to have 60 months of experience leading projects. That means scope of work, start date, and end date, all right? Now, option number two is for all my educated baddies out there who are like, I went and got my bachelor's and my master's and my PhD. I'm happy for y'all. That's great. But unfortunately, PMI only acknowledges up to a bachelor's degree. All right. So, I mean, if you have the bachelor's, then that helps. Now, if you have a bachelor's degree, then you only have to show 36 months of experience leading projects. Okay. Again, that doesn't mean being a project manager by title. That means that you have 36 months of experience leading projects, scope of work, start date, end date. Now, after you've decided which route you're going to take for you to qualify to meet the certification requirements, next you have to think about a class. Okay, now let me stop right here because I know how y'all are. All right, y'all always coming at me. Why do I have to take a class? That's dumb. Why can't I just go and sit for the certification? Blah, blah, blah. Look, part of the requirements for you to be able to sit for the exam is that you have 35 hours of project management education. You get that from taking a class. Okay. It's literally part of the requirements. Whether you're going in with a high school diploma or whether you're going in with a degree, PMI, being the Project Management Institute, requires you to show that you have taken 35 hours of project management education before you can even apply to sit for the exam. All right. So you have to take a class. Now you have to decide what kind of class is going to be the most conducive to your success. And the only way that you can do that is thinking about your learning style. All right. If you're the type of person who's like, I learn best on my own. All right. I've got a very busy schedule. I have a lot going on. I'm always juggling a million things. I need to be able to learn on my own terms. Honey, I'm proud of you. I think that that's wonderful. But if that's the case and you need that level of flexibility, then it makes more sense for you to do like a self paced course. And self paced courses will have all types of reading material for you. They'll have videos that you can watch and you learn on your own at your own pace. Okay. Any self-paced course is going to cover 35-hour requirements. Okay, they're going to make sure that you're getting as much information as you need to be able to qualify to sit for the exam. So, if you're a good self-paced learner, then you would take a self-paced course. But on the other hand, if you're the type of person who maybe gets 2 minutes into a video and then you get up and you make a sandwich and then maybe you're walking around, you pet your dog a little bit and then you start doom scrolling on your phone, honey, that is not going to work. Okay. And you need to be honest with yourself about whether or not that is you, because sometimes that is us and we just don't want to admit it. All right. Now, if that is you, you're going to need to take a live class. All right. You're going to be way better off getting into a class that has a live instructor that you can engage with, where you can engage with your classmates, where you can ask questions, you can get clarification on all the different components that you guys are covering. Because this is not the type of situation that you just walk into, pass the exam, and you're not worried about it. All right. The exam is challenging. You do actually need to know the information and be well prepared before you go and invest money into taking the certification exam. So, if a live class is going to be better for you, then you need to take a live class. All right. Whichever method is going to be more conducive to your success as a learner, that's the route that you need to take. All right. So, we've talked about the difference between a certificate and a certification. We've talked about how to identify your qualifications. We've talked about the type of course you need to take. So now we're going to switch gears into the supplemental course materials that you will need to be successful. All right. Now, I don't care what anybody says. I hear people say, oh, well, you can get this book and you can get that book. And, this book has a bunch of hacks in it. Honey, you need to get the book that is written by the people who write the exam. Okay. PMI writes a textbook and it is referred to as the Project Management Book of Knowledge. Okay. Project managers call it the PMBOK. It's PMBOK. And you can get it on Amazon. It's relatively easy to have shipped right onto your door. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. The PMBOK is thicker than a Snicker. It is a very extensive knowledge base, but you want to have that on hand as your source of truth. Because as you're going through your project management course that's preparing you for the exam, you want to be able to clarify your understanding and reaffirm what it is that you are learning in the book, because the book is going to be your source of truth. I'm not telling you to read it cover to cover. I honestly don't suggest that. I'm not doing that, at least I didn't. But I don't think you need to read it cover to cover, because a lot of what you need is going to be contained in the course. All right. On the other hand, there is another book that you should get that you should be reading cover to cover, and that is the Agile Guide. Now, the Agile Guide is also written by PMI. Okay, so again, that's the people who write the exam. And this one is nowhere near as thick as the PMBOK is. It's a relatively easy read, and a lot of material that's covered on your exam is actually going to be related to Agile. All right, so it makes more sense for you to read this one cover to cover, try to digest that information, and make sure that it's as clear as possible so that you can be successful on exam day. All right, those are going to be your supplemental materials. The next thing that you have to do is take practice exams. You have to take practice exams. I see people all the time, they want to know, well, if I take the class and then I read the book, can I just take the test? I don't know, sis. Can you just take the test? The test is 4 hours long. It's 180 questions. Do you think you should just waltz up in there without having ever taken a practice exam? I don't know. Logically, for me, the math just is not mathing. Okay. It doesn't make sense for you to spend $575. That's how much the exam costs to take. It doesn't make sense for you to spend that money having no foundation for what the questions look like on the exam. Okay. You need to take practice exams because that's going to prepare you for what you're going to see on exam day. And I can tell you right now what you're going to see: word problems. It's going to be a whole lot of word problems. You remember way back in the day when we used to take those standardized tests when we were kids, and your teacher would tell you, okay, guys, there's going to be a lot of word problems, and they're going to give you a lot of words, and it's up to you to pick out what's important for you to determine the answer. Those test writers work for PMI now. They're writing that exam the exact same way. Okay. So you are going to be facing very extensive word problems that are really situationally based, and they're going to be giving you a lot of fluff. All right. It's going to be about 4 or 5 sentences of just fluff, stuff you don't need to know at all. Maybe you're working on a project to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and there's a peanut butter shortage with your vendor because there was a salmonella outbreak, and this specific type of peanut is no longer going to be available. And then your resource on your teams made a comment to your client in the elevator that they weren't supposed to. What are you going to do? Do we really need to know about peanuts? Do we need to know about salmonella? Who cares about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? We need to be asking ourselves, why did our teammate make a comment to our client in the elevator, and why was that information not communicated through us instead? You see what I mean? You need to know what you're up against, because the way that PMI asks questions is very much so based on the language that a project manager would use, okay, and what you should be doing in specific situations. You're not going to know that unless you actually go through and take some practice exams, okay? If you do practice exams on a regular basis, by the time you get to the actual exam, you're going to understand very clearly how PMI asks questions and what they want you to say as the answer. Another big piece of that is really learning the verbiage. Project management in itself is a language, and if you don't speak the language, it's very easy to identify that you really don't know what you're talking about. All right. So you want to go through those practice exams. You should be getting at least 80s on your practice exams before you move forward into taking the actual exam. And a lot of the times I'll have people ask me, well, how many practice exams should I take? 1, 2, 3? Honey, you want to take as many practice exams as it takes. What do you mean? If you've gotten a 40, a 50, and a 60 on your practice exams, do you think you should keep taking them? Or do you think that you're good to go? You should probably keep taking them, right? You want to give yourself as much practice as possible. The goal is to get in there and win. All right, pass on the first try, above target in all 3 areas. That is the goal. All right, now that we've talked about practice exams, we talked about course materials, we talked about the type of course, we talked about qualifications. The last thing we're going to talk about is the most important part of this episode, and that's you. All right. Now, I know y'all hear me gripe about this all the time, but I cannot say it enough. The biggest problem that I see in people before they go and take this exam is that they're telling themselves they're going to fail before they even try. Honey, who does that? Your job is to be your own hype man. You need to be in the mirror, gassing yourself up, listening to Drake and 21 Savage, whatever it takes, okay? You need to be hyping yourself up, reaffirming your belief in yourself and reassuring yourself that you've put the energy in, you've put the time in, you've put the work in. Okay. The exam is just the final part of the process. But what you don't need to do is walk into exam day feeling like I'm a fraud and I'm never going to make it and I don't even know why I'm doing this. Okay. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. I don't want that for you. If you've put in all the work to meet the qualifications, to submit an application, to study, to take 35 hours worth of education, to do all these different components, there is no reason why you wouldn't go in there and knock it out of the park. But only you know whether or not you really put the work in, and only you know whether or not you're actually going to be successful. By the time you get into that testing room, honey, it's going to be you versus you. So make sure that you're walking in there confident and ready to go. If you follow these steps, you can pass the PMP exam on the very first try, really in 4 weeks or less, all right, depending on the course you take. If you take an expedited advanced course like the boot camp that we offer, you'll be ready to go in 2 weekends, okay? If you take a longer course, it's gonna take you a longer amount of time. But I promise you, if you just follow these steps, you will pass your PMP certification exam on the very first try. All right, y'all. All I can do is give you the game. Now it's your job to run the play. You already know what it is. If you guys want any more information on how to pass the PMP exam, how to meet the qualifications, what a day is like in the life of a project manager, hit us in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video and share it with your friends if you think that they'll find it beneficial as well. In the meantime, in between time, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.